Last season, 17% of flagrant fouls were against Clark. 17%. I mean, there's how many players? And 17% are all against Clark.
Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves in the WNBA, she's become a major topic across sports, news, and entertainment, not because she's seeking attention, but because what she's doing is impossible to ignore game after game. She's bringing in fans who never used to watch women's basketball. The buzz around her isn't just about points or wins, it's about the way she's changing the conversation. We've seen talented players before, but this feels different. The way people react to her, talk about her, and try to define her says more than any stat ever could. And when you hear big names weighing in, it becomes clear why the spotlight won't leave her. But just as the praise builds, the tone starts to shift. When voices like Dr. Phil and Christine Brennan speak up not with applause, but with criticism, the conversation takes a turn. What they said, you won't see it coming. Even comedian Shane Gillis, who usually stays cool no matter who's in the audience, had a rare moment on stage in Indiana because someone in the crowd completely caught him off guard.
I was starstruck. Caitlin Clark was at my show in Indiana, and I had, for some reason, I was like, every once in a while somebody gets me that I didn't think was going to make me like.
There's a clip.
It wasn't fake humility, it was genuine awe. Directed at a WNBA player who's making history without a Hollywood background or a music career, just pure basketball talent. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. She doesn't just enter a room, she owns it. Even if someone else is holding the mic, and she's leaving that impression on more than just fans. Dan Dakich, who's been around the sport for years coaching at Indiana and working as an analyst at ESPN, has seen legends come and go. So when someone like him says he's never seen a player quite like Caitlin Clark, it's not just a compliment, it's a message to the whole league. She's different, and everyone should take notice.
The most unique, fan-friendly basketball game that a player in the WNBA has ever had. It's, I said from the get-go, it's Steph Curry. We've seen, and this is unfortunate, we had a great player here, Tamika Catchings, but we've seen her game. Asia Wilson's a terrific player, but we've seen her game.
Yeah, we have.
We've seen from the free throw line down, or we've seen from the three-point line down. We've seen, never seen anything like Caitlin Clark.
That's the real point. Dan's not just saying Caitlin Clark is good. He's saying she's changing how women's basketball looks and feels. Her deep shooting range is forcing teams to rethink defense. Before Clark, nobody worried about guarding someone 35 feet from the hoop. Now, defenders are picking her up at midcourt. Coaches are adjusting with defensive strategies usually seen in the men's game, something the WNBA hasn't needed until now. So when Dan says, "We've never seen this," he means it. Clark's impact is forcing teams to scramble, not just react. But not everyone sees it as a positive. After a strong win by the Indiana Fever, ESPN's Caroline Pick stirred up debate not because of the victory, but because Clark wasn't on the floor. In her view, the team looked better without her.
Game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. In both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away.
Might sound like analysis, but let's be real, that wasn't just about strategy. That was a jab. You don't say things like that about average players, you say them about stars who are forcing everyone to adjust. But here's the twist. Caitlin Clark did adjust. Since that comment, her assists have gone up. Her turnovers have dropped, and the wins keep coming. She's not just performing, she's improving. When a player is dangerous, even when she's not on the court, and even more of a threat when she is, that's what a true superstar looks like. And even her biggest critics haven't been able to ignore it for long. Caitlin's had her share of haters, she always has, and probably always will. But what makes her different is how many of those critics eventually change their tune. They don't just stop criticizing, they start cheering. And no one admitted that more openly than Sophia Ruffin.
Hating on a person is real, because they're good. And I'm just gonna admit, I was a Caitlin Clark hater that turned into a fan. But I was only hating on her skill set at that time because she was going up against my favorite team you know, our favorite, just period across the board, South Carolina. And then the year that she knocked them out of the championship game, it was like, oh, nah.
It wasn't some breakdown of strategy, it was an honest, emotional moment. South Carolina fans are some of the most loyal in the game. They stand by Dawn Staley and everything that program stands for. So when Caitlin Clark came in and ended their winning streak, it didn't just shake up the tournament, it shook their loyalty. That game was a turning point, a reminder that true greatness doesn't care about team colors or history. It shows up, blocks out the noise, and changes the result. Clark didn't win people over with charm, she did it with sharp, precise plays on the biggest stage of the season. And just when it felt like the buzz around her couldn't get any louder, someone dropped a take that changed everything. The PBD podcast, known for bold opinions, didn't just call Caitlin great. They didn't call her exciting. They went even further, and what they said lit up the conversation like never before.
Jackie Robinson of the WNBA will be Caitlin Clark if she stays healthy. There's a group of them that would hope for her to be out. But
why do you say she's going to be the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA?
Well,
it's not like she's the first white girl.
She's not the first white girl, but she's the first white superstar at the levels where she's scoring these, you know, the threes she's shooting. She's like a Steph Curry. She's the first actual superstar that people care. When's the last time we watched like college basketball? If I told you, tell me the greatest college basketball female basketball players last 30 years.
Let that sink in. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark being talented. People are calling her a game changer, a barrier breaker, and it's not about race, it's about reach. She's connecting with fans the WNBA has never reached before. Millions of people who couldn't name a single team last year are now wearing Fever jerseys, packing arenas, and following her every move. She's not just part of the league, she's pulling it into the spotlight with her. And if that sounds like a stretch, consider this. David Letterman sat down with her. When that happens, you're not just famous, you're part of the national conversation. Letterman's interviewed presidents, movie stars, and legends. His Netflix show is reserved for the most compelling voices of our time, so when he chose Caitlin, it wasn't a casual moment, it was recognition, and he didn't ask her about points or contracts. He wanted to understand what really fuels her.
That encapsulates what I know of you as a human being. It's that the competitive drive that overrides every little daily occurrence. Am I right about that?
This wasn't casual chatter. David Letterman doesn't hand out compliments lightly. He's known for his dry wit and throwing tough questions, not praise. But with Caitlin Clark, he leaned in because what he saw wasn't just a high scorer. It was a 22-year-old with the same intense focus and drive he's seen in every icon he's ever interviewed. That mindset isn't just why she sinks shots from the logo, it's why someone like Letterman stays locked in, and the numbers, they back it up. Christine Brennan, one of the most respected voices in sports journalism, doesn't deal in hype, she deals in facts. She's covered every Olympics since 1984. And she doesn't call someone the best thing to ever happen to women's basketball unless the data proves it. When she says it, it's not a hot take, it's confirmation.
Totally. I mean, the New York Liberty have an incredible fan base, incredible success story, obviously the defending champions. But 21, during the regular season, 21 of the 24 games that were over 1 million viewership involved Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. So, 21 out of 24. Okay, there's 3 that weren't, right? I think it is undeniable that this woman is the most important and best thing to ever happen to women's basketball.
Let's read that again. 21 out of 24. That's not luck. That's not a marketing push. That's gravity. The numbers aren't rising because of some league-wide surge. They're rising because Caitlin Clark is on the court. She's not part of the momentum, she is the momentum. And the way she handles pressure, it's not just impressive, it's almost unreal for someone her age. People tend to forget, Caitlin Clark is only 23. She's younger than some players who still can't get off the bench. But you'd never guess it from the way she leads, performs, and holds herself in the spotlight. Christine Brennan noticed that too, and coming from a veteran journalist like her, the praise wasn't just strong, it was one of the most powerful endorsements you'll hear.
The magnitude and the power of being the role model that she is. All of this, she was 22, now she's 23, but all of this at age 22, I say she's 22 going on 40 or 50. The maturity, the poise, handling every issue, lots of stuff thrown at her, lots of controversy, as you know, and everything about her, a maturity, an elegance, intelligence, and just also a sense of humor that you would hope to see in someone. And America?
It wasn't just a scouting report, it was a character statement from someone who's covered the biggest names in women's sports for over 40 years. Caitlin Clark doesn't just handle media attention, she puts people at ease. She doesn't get dragged into drama, she rises above it, while the league gets physical. She stays cool, smiles, and quietly drops 25 points, including a deep three from the logo. But Christine Brennan wasn't finished. Her final words struck a national chord when Caitlin was left off the Olympic roster. Backlash came fast, and Brennan was the journalist who broke the story. And she didn't call it surprising, she called it historic.
I'm certainly proud of how I broke the story of the Olympic snub, that the USA basketball was not going to be putting Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in the history of the sport. Whether she deserved to be or not, she is in terms of the fan interest and the appeal. They were not going to put her on